say I've been getting tatted. They say they like my ink, yeah. I say that I'm flattered. They ask me where I've been, I say I've been getting tatted. On a regular, decorations in my body, I can't get enough.
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the top 10 electrical parts that will fail on your BMW E60, and this also applies to the BMW E90s as well, as I know a lot of you have got an E90, but these electrical parts are fitted to a lot of the E90s as well. So let me go over and show you what we're going to show you what fails on the BMW E60s and E90s. So as you'll see here guys, this is my BMW E60, as many of you guys are aware, and as you guys probably know, I'm an expert mostly on the BMW E60 when it comes to the electronic side of things. Now, my E60 suffered with quite a lot of these electrical issues, as well as previous E60s I've owned, as well as E61s. Now, E60 being a more popular car than the E61, so that's why I'm going to go over and show you the majority of these faults on these BMW E60s. So, first thing we're going to do is open up the boot. Okay guys, as you'll see here now, we've now got that removed. And the first thing you're going to see is the battery. Now, the battery right here is a common failure point on these cars. What ends up happening, they drain out after being left for several months with not being started, especially when you buy them from a trader, and the battery ends up failing. And they do go junk on these cars. It's a very, very common problem. So I advise you that if you are going to buy a BMW, make sure you check that, because that can cause a lot of your electrical faults down the front, your car not to start, a lot of the iDrive to be messing up, a lot of the clustered lights to be coming on because they're not getting enough power from the battery. Another common cause is that it's not registered correctly with the correct amp to battery. So what ends up happening is the alternator is overcharging the battery, killing the battery, because the DME is responsible for controlling the alternator to charge the battery and vice versa. So if that's not done right, that will kill off your battery. The next one on these guys is the IBS sensor, as you'll see right here, and it runs all the way down up to here, and that's called the intelligent battery sensor. Now that's responsible for basically knowing what battery is inside the car and what's registered to the car, and for the alternator's intelligent system to charge the battery correctly and at the correct rate, and to know when it's actually plugged in. Now, on a lot of cars, especially ones prior to 2006, to 2003, to 2005s, that's a common issue, and what it will end up triggering is the airbag light as well. When that fails, most people end up unplugging it, but that don't work. Your best thing to do is to code it out and get rid of it. Like I've done on many cars, you can code this out and completely get rid of it and turn the airbag light off as well. So make sure you do that, and make sure you check for that and try and disconnect it. I know a lot of people disconnect it when they can't crank their car, and it's a lot of the time it's because of that IBS sensor, so they disconnect it just to get their car started. That's fine, just make sure you get it replaced, because they do fail, especially as I said on the years 2003 to 2005. So just make sure you get it replaced. It runs from there, as you'll see, all the way along the battery to over here, to then up here onto that blue wire there, and that's the one people usually disconnect from right there. So just make sure you do check the IBS sensor and get it replaced if need be, to make sure it ends up being correct, because like I say, the battery needs to know what battery is registered to this car, so does the DME. Otherwise you will get other electrical faults if that one goes out. The next one I want to speak to you guys about is under the floor well. Now, as you guys know, in pre-2006 cars, which will be 2003 to 2005, you'll find a load of modules sitting under the carpet here, which under here, it won't be under this liner right here, it will be right under in the boot well. And what ends up happening is water likes to get inside there and end up frying the micro power module. Now, if that micro power module is fried, it will trigger your central electronics failure, it will cause your iDrive to fail, and it can also cause your cluster to fail and the car not to start, because the micro power module controls all the central electronics in the car, i.e. the iDrive, the shifter and everything else on the car. So make sure you check for that as well. And if it is down here, which pre-2003 and 2005 cars will have it down there, any cars past 2005 will have the KGM module, which is built. You will not have that module, the micro power module here, if your car is above 2005. So please do not go looking for something that you won't have. If your car is above 2005, you will not have the micro power module down here. You have the KGM, and if you do have the micro power module, make sure you relocate it, as you will see in my relocation video, which to relocate it over to this side, and under here all the wires to make sure you relocate it under here properly, so that way it gets them out of the way of water the moment you get it. Because the thing, a lot of people buying E60 don't realise their modules are underneath there because nobody tells anyone. Then what ends up happening, they come to the channel saying that their car isn't working perfectly, and it's not their fault, just nobody told them. And where the dealers left it sitting outside for so long, water's then got in the boot and killed off the electronics and all the modules underneath there. The PDC module will be underneath there, micro power module, move them all, and relocate them as per my video, as I've showed you. Guys, it's another common failure, and the micropower module isn't cheap. Then it needs recoding. It can also cause other problems, especially if you've got Logic 7, which Logic 7 will sit over here and this behind here, as well as the Bluetooth module. So make sure you do get that sorted straight away to stop any kind of failures from your most network or anything else on the network. Now the next one, guys, as you would have seen in my video, is the Bluetooth module. Now on 2003 to 2005 cars, again, the ULF1 likes to fail a lot on these cars, and it's a common issue. I've come across it a load of times where the Bluetooth module, as you will see in my video, is located behind this panel here. I show you how to remove it in my Bluetooth location video. It is located behind there and it does fail. From 2006 they got better and they never failed as they moved to ULF2. But the ULF1s have a common failure, and the Bluetooth modules do fail. You'll know if it's failed because you won't be able to tick it on your iDrive. So make sure you check that as well. It's another common issue. They're not hard to source, but you got to remember, if you do buy a new one, it needs programming, needs the VIN, and it needs to be coded on the most network as well to mix with all the other modules, which is the iDrive, the most gateway, and everything else on that network. Otherwise it will not respond correctly. The next one on these guys, as you guys probably are not aware, which can cause a huge amount of battery drain, is your diversity antenna up here. Now, as you guys know, water seeps through here, through the shark fin right above here, and then it gets in onto your diversity antenna. They end up getting rusty and getting corroded, and then you need to clean them down. A lot of people try that, it doesn't work. I've just now figured out how to rebuild them diversity antennas, so I will be putting a video up soon regarding that, how to rebuild them, so you don't have to go and buy a new one, because I know they're expensive. After a lot of testing, I figured out how to rebuild them, so I'm going to be showing you how to do that with new parts. The diversity antenna does fail, and it can keep the car awake as well and cause a battery drainage if it does fail. As a lot of you guys probably don't know, if you go inside the car here, the diversity antenna will be located underneath this flap here. You will take the third brake light cover down, and the diversity antenna will be located underneath this roof lining right here. When you pull the roof lining down, it's only held in by a certain amount of clips. You will then find the diversity antenna sitting right above here, which you need to take out. The ground bolts will be underneath this pillar right here, which you'll have to remove. You'll have to just take this pillar off, and the ground straps will be here, as well as the connector for the diversity antenna. So just make sure you remove it and just replace it. And as I said, it can cause a battery drain, so make sure you get that changed as well immediately. So the next one on these guys, as you guys will know, is the steering column. Now this likes to break a lot on these cars, especially on the pre-2005 models again, and a lot of the time on the E63, especially the 7 Series, the steering column likes to break. When I got this car, this one was broken and we rebuilt it. As you see now, it goes up and down, and it comes up and down when I put the key in as well. It's fully working. I've managed to rebuild it. I will be doing another video if I've got another car with the steering column broke and show you guys how to replace it. I did repair this one, but it was a complete nightmare. But I got it working in the end. The electric steering column is a common failure point. What ends up happening, it ends up running out of grease. The grease ends up drying up from the heat, and then it ends up stop working on the gears itself to move it up and down electronically. So it is a common failure point, and just be aware of that when you go and check one of these cars, that this is actually working, because it's the most common failure point on these cars that like to fail, and you'll know by the moment you put the key in if it's electronically going up and down. The next one on these guys is the iDrive system. Now, as you guys know, the iDrive system likes to fail a lot, and I'll explain the reason for this. There's a fan inside it, and any cars prior 2003 2005, the iDrives like to fail. They were a known fault. BMW even knew that, and this is why these cars were under warranty and being replaced. The fan ends up giving up on them, which causes them to overheat, which causes your display to either keep flashing or going on and not booting up quick enough, or not booting up at all. And a lot of the time it can be linked to the micropower module, as you would have seen in the boot, which I spoke to you about previously. Majority of the time it's the fan on these that end up going, and it ends up blowing the graphic chips on them. But also sometimes the fan can stay on these constantly, which then causes the car to stay awake, and because the modules are trying to shut it down, which the iDrive is not shutting down, which keeps the car awake and causes a battery drain on your car as well. So it's something you have to be aware about. A lot of people sometimes as well, the disc can be keep spinning in there, which take the disc out, because that can be causing your car to stay awake as well. So try and take the disc out. Another reason is if you've got a disc in there and the iDrive's blinking, usually it's because the disc is trying to read, which is causing it to go overload. To take the disc out, have no discs in there for when it overloads, so that way it can boot up quicker, because you've got to remember when it first boots up, it's trying to load up all the discs as well as the iDrive system. So take the discs out to help the speed up of the process as well. Next one I want to speak to you about, guys, is the electric steering column, which sits down here, and it's a little device, as you guys would have seen on my bench, and it's like a little steering lock device, and it's got a cogwheel on it that releases this steering lock. Now, you guys know it's a common problem on especially the E90s, where the steering lock light likes to come on. It's a red little light that comes on in the middle of the dash here, and for the steering lock light, and you need to code it out to get rid of it completely, because it's a common problem on the E90s. It's always come on, and it's always happened. You guys know I can do that to get rid of it. It's a very, very easy job. I've done it for many, many people, got rid of that bloody red steering light. I've got rid of it for a lot of people, and I know a lot of guys have been very happy since. I got rid of the steering lock light. It's a common issue. I know it comes up a lot of the time on the E60s as well. I've seen it a few times on the E60, especially a lot of you guys in the US. It's a common issue. If it does come on, you guys can contact me and I can get rid of it for you completely. Obviously, it's not a simple process, but I will code it out and completely eliminate it correctly from the CAS, and obviously from the DME. It's not easy to do, but it requires special tools to get rid of it. But it is a common issue, especially on the E90. So if you guys have got that, but that is another common issue on these cars as well as the E90, that steering lock. It bugs everybody and nobody knows why. The next one on these is the cluster. Now, as you guys know, the cluster, I've said to it many, many times, can be responsible for keeping the car awake. I've had many E60s where this cluster, because again, prior to 2006, they had problems with the clusters being made by the company where they go wrong. Again, this is made by Siemens, like the ECUs, and these do go wrong, and what ends up happening is the internals blow on them, which can lead to the car staying awake. It's a common issue. I've addressed these issues many times before, but these clusters do go out and will go out, and you guys will be running around like headless chickens looking for your issue. This is why I tell a lot of you guys, make sure you get ISTA, because ISTA is your best friend for these cars. Especially if the cluster's at fault, you'll be able to determine that with ISTA. But these things are known for the internals to blow, overheat, and there's got a special little chip in it that's responsible for communicating with the DME to put the car to sleep at the same time as the micro power module. Now, if that fries, that will lead your car to stay awake. Now, the best way to determine that is to go and locate your fuse box, which is usually underneath here, and start pulling out all the fuses for everything here to locate what's keeping the car awake. That's my best advice you can do with these cars. The next one on these guys, which I know doesn't appeal a lot to the USA, because I know a lot of the US don't get that, but it's the parking sensors. Now, every E60 I've ever owned, and people know this, even from E39, E46, they all use the same parking sensors, even on the E63, E64. These are a common failure point. Now, you guys would have seen my video on how to repair them. Very easy how to repair them, and you guys know since I've done that, I've had no issues with mine. My parking sensors are still functional, but it's a common issue still on the E60 that they like to fail. My best advice is to replace them, because being this big of a car, you do need them. I know in the USA, a lot of the cars don't have them and you guys park fine, but here, you'll end up getting a woman smash into the car behind or in front, because these cars are so big, especially in the supermarket, where the space is so small. So I advise getting them replaced. They're not hard to do. Just use my video to make them work again. You guys know the method. You can go and watch it and find out how to repair them if yours ain't working. Very easy process to do as well, and takes 5 minutes to do to get them sorted. The next one on these guys that a lot of you probably ain't aware of is this wiring loom right here. Now, as you guys know, this wiring loom, as you can see, is running straight through underneath the pollen filter housing going into the cabin of the car. Now, all this wiring loom is responsible for all the electronics on the car. Now, what ends up happening is water ends up sitting underneath this pollen filter housing in the brake servo and ends up flooding all these wires. And then what you have to do is, a lot of people don't even realize this, is they end up finding it later on, and then they've got to let the wires dry out before the electronics become responsible again. And then what usually happens is the wires inside this loom ends up becoming corroded, and then they break apart and end up causing a lot of electronic issues. So this is one thing I advise you to obviously go and check as well, which causes a major electric issue. BMW know about as well, is to lift up your pollen filter housing. You would have seen it in my video. Take out the little drain plugs and remove them, so the water can go straight down constantly, so it never fills up water in here. Because if you don't, every time it rains, you end up with water underneath this pollen filter housing right here, and you'll end up with a lot of you end up with major damage to all your electronics on the car, because as I said, this loom goes to all the iDrive, the cluster, all the electronics inside the car. So be aware of that. As you see here, this loom runs all the way around here and up and then back to the DME, which brings me to my next one, the DME. Now, a lot of guys in the US have their DME here, and it ends up getting water damage. I don't know why that is. In this country, we end up with it over the other pollen filter hazards I just discussed, where we get water under the brake servo. But in America, you guys get it in your DME box. Now, in your DME box, it ends up sitting there and ends up destroying your ECU. And what ends up happening is it ends up going into your DME. It ends up corroding the insides of the DME, and then you always need a new DME. This is common on the E90s and E60s as well over there, and many other cars like the 7 Series. If you guys have got that, you guys now can repair it for you, and I can do you a new ECU. You know, it's not an issue. If you guys do suffer with that issue, just contact me. You know what to do, and I'll sort it for you. But the best way to avoid that is to remove them drain field plugs so the water doesn't build up inside that box, so then that way you have no issues long term. So as you guys would have just seen there, I've just gone over the top 10 electronic items that will fail on your BMW E60 and E90, and this also applies for E63, E65 and E66 as well. I hope this video is going to help you guys a lot now, because I know a lot of you are still having these electrical issues, especially because you guys are picking up these 2003, 2005 plate cars very cheap now, because they're coming up on the market very cheap due to all the other cars coming out. And as I've said, if you do need any help with any of the said items that I've said in the video, please just leave a comment in the box, and just I'll give you my email just so you can contact me privately so we can get them issues rectified. So if this video does help you, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. This BMW Dr. Dean here. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and goodbye.